Ladies and gentlemen, a very cool thing is happening. We've been waiting for it, a one-wheel league that goes international and gets us on SportsCenter. That's really what I've been clamoring for ever since we started the one-wheel venture back, 3-4 years ago. So let's get them on here right now. Speaking for Iowa, IOWA, Vito Campuzano, if you could join. I've got Rachel Cecil, she's here as well, Bob Nicholson and Corey J, as well as Troy Hendrick. But I want to start with Vito. Vito, what is Iowa for all the people who are wondering what this is and how they can be a part of it?
Well, the International One-Wheel Association is really, it shapes the board sport community through three basic cornerstones, which is community number one, training and competition. And we're a nonprofit group that really aims to be the community's sort of compendium of record keeping and just a self-governing body that's sanctioned by its community members. And in essence, that's what we are.
So what will I benefit then coming as if I'm a member of it? How will I benefit from this? Why should I want to be a part of this?
Well, if you take a look at any sports in anywhere across the world, whether it's football, basketball, there is a typical governing association that's, founded by members, it's athletes, it's vendors.
Sure.
And by you being a part of it, you get to shape how that sport unfolds, how the rules are applied, how rankings are involved, and just its development of the sport. So by you joining Iowa, you get a voice in the community and as part of the association to form that sport going forward in the future.
Okay, so what's really exciting is that we're right now in the middle of forming this sport. So joining Iowa as a member is more than if you just joined any sports association that's already existed. It's the beginning of the sport. So you actually get a chance to shape how the events are formed, the different types of competitions, the way that we regulate the sport, the way that the community trains, the safety aspects. Like every aspect of it right now is open and being formed. And we wanted to form Iowa as a way of creating like a lens that can focus that light and make things actually happen.
Okay, now I'm glad you spoke to that. That's Corey J. I appreciate it. It used to be a neighbor of ours here in the DMV, now across the pond. Glad to hear from you. Troy, you're a lawyer. I know that from when you were helping out with some stuff around our studio. I would imagine that an association like this really doesn't take form unless people give it the legitimization. Like if people, how do you go ahead and make, is it just, were you guys here first? Like, how did you establish yourself so that this can kind of be the governing force?
Well, I think that a big part of it is taking on this mantle as a nonprofit. That's a big part of our organizational structure. So in terms of what you asked, we just basically got together, fleshed out an idea, and then put together a mission. And then we started to build out around that mission how we were going to operate. And in the midst of all of that, we got to get together all the paperwork and apply to the IRS for a nonprofit status, which we recently, I think Vito could speak to, recently were approved after a year-long process. So, I think that the fact that we're a nonprofit differentiates us, and it puts us in line with a lot of the other pull yourself up by the bootstraps sports organizations. The genesis of this idea came from the Ultimate Players Association, which is like Ultimate Frisbee, was something I was familiar with from like 20 years ago. Yeah. And back then you didn't have any centralized governing body. What you had was a bunch of, kids like me on teams trying to get together and have tournaments. And it was happening loosely all over the country. And so what we started to see was, look, all this stuff is already happening everywhere. The only thing that isn't happening is they're not connected centrally. But what I recognized with Vito was that he had started this community called .pro, and that community seemed to be all of the real leaders in the sport both athlete leaders as well as community organizers, in the various different locations in the big cities all over the country. So all we needed so from my perspective, I just thought, Vito already has this structure in place. All he's got to do is connect all these various disparate groups. And he's got all the people that they're already working together well to begin with. I know a lot of the people on Voice of One Wheel are part of that .pro group and have been there since the beginning. And so there's a real sense of responsibility. And with respect to Future Motion, I'm starting to ramble on here. Stop me if you need to. But with respect to Future Motion, we saw an opportunity to do something that Future Motion couldn't really do. We saw an opportunity to step in and help Future Motion, to sort of provide a space where the community can link up, get together, create standardized rules, create a way to rank each other across events, across the country. So the ORL, we're super excited about the ORL. We want to see the winners of the ORL get credit for that and then be able to sort of compare themselves to those people who are competing in a race that got put together by folks out in California. This is starting to happen all over the country. People are putting together big events and they don't want to just do and it's just going to happen all over. One Wheel is not going to be the only event that there are. The ORL is great and we're super supportive of Future Motion for that, but we needed to create a way that everyone could communicate, get on the same page, and that gives the sport legitimacy, which brings us back to what you wanted to do, which is see this on ESPN one day.
Darn right.
And there's no way to do that without some kind of centralized organizing body. It's got to happen through some kind of group, and that's what we are.
You guys see cornhole every Sunday. I know you do. So whether it's slam ball or whatever it is, I know that we can see One Wheel races and whatnot. But Rachel Cecil, where can I go? Where is this? Is this just in the United States? Is this international? And how do I get, where do I go to join this?
Yeah, so we are based online. Our website is theiowa.org. So you can find us there. That's where you can sign up to be a member. And we are an international association. We're actually sponsoring our first event in France, I believe. I think Corey can speak more on this. But it's a really exciting opportunity to legitimize, the I in our name. So we're pretty excited about it.
I kind of led you into that. Obviously, it's international. I just wanted you to speak to that. Why did you join this? What is it that spoke to you that made you want to be a part of this?
I think that a lot of the top riders that are competing these days, these are the early days of skateboarding. I think some of us are going to go down as legends in the sport, and to have the opportunity to be in a position where I could legitimize that further and create an opportunity for, the younger generation to come in and be on ESPN and have legitimate rules, a ranking system, all that fun stuff. I had to do it. So I think I've been this together for 2 years throughout the pandemic, and it's been worth it.
I think we can all agree that there's only one legend on this call, and it's Rachel. So, Bob, can you speak to is there a handicapping system? Bob Nicholson joins us from California. How are we all going to be legitimate? How do we compare a race from the ORL to something that we did maybe in Arkansas? How does that work out? Is there a handicap?
We're still.
I might take that question if you don't mind.
Yeah, Corey, take that for me. Bob.
Corey's the one working on that right now.
Sorry, Bob. Let's go to Corey.
I am no mathematician.
So
Corey, help us out.
So what's great about when you form a nonprofit is the first people who form it, you kind of elect yourselves, and then after that you're elected every year, and you can be replaced. A nonprofit is not owned by the people who run it; it is only managed by the people who want to. And so each of us bring our own strengths to the table right now to build this. And so for me, I have a background in data science and artificial intelligence. So I've taken on what I thought would be a really easy challenge, which was to create a ranking system. And I have found myself covered, wading through very, very dense mathematical papers that have been set up to organize an algorithm that can handle the complexities of a single person sport. Because what happens is you can't just say, hey, this person came second and this person came third, and this, right? It just doesn't work that way, because you've got different classes of racers. Right? You have different classes of boards, right? You have mod boards, you have mad scientist boards, you have stock boards.
You're not taking all that into account. That's like a handicap for golf.
We have to.
Absolutely.
Guys, that's like a handicap for golfing. Because that would be like a handicap for golfing, taking into account what kind of clubs you're using, what brand you're. That's insane. That's a massive amount of work.
It really isn't, because there is only one wheel board at the moment, and so what happens is you need to take into account, and we also listen to the community, right? So we talk to the community, and that's what they're interested in.
That's amazing.
Right? We can't just ignore it because they don't want it. And there's tons of different kinds of races. There's downhills and trails and sprints and urban and indoor track and sprint and dashes.
This is so cool.
We have to take these into account, and then there's different level events. Right? There's tier 1 events, and there's tier 2 and tier 3. There's regional, local. And so we take these into account. So we're building a proper ranking system that allows us to look back at the last few years of races and start ranking people, and allows us to look forward at what's going to happen and take on board this and create a centralized ranking.
Let me say, just to piggyback on top of that, that's a really important element that Iowa wants to bring to the table because of the marketing aspect of it. ESPN needs drama to show us some kind of cool event. What you want to see is the number 1 ranked rider in the world. Dominic Williams is going to be riding against Jeff McCosker, the number 2 ranked rider in the world. And that has to be pinned to some type of metric, and that's what Corey is trying to create for us. That's a super important part of the marketing aspect for our sport.
This is incredibly exciting, guys. Like, this is what we've been clamoring for, and you are doing the homework to put it together for us. So, Bob Nicholson, how do you fit into this? You've got so much on your plate. I can't imagine. You're backed up with all of the things at the shop. You're making sure that everybody is staying on their wheels. So, just another project for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me how the hell I do it. And I don't even know. I have a very patient wife that understands that this will not be the way that it is forever. And hopefully I can transition into full one-wheel mode in the next 6 to 12 months, which is my goal. Get rid of my construction company completely, because it's driving me absolutely nuts in the COVID world. But I mean, I bring more of the technical aspects to it. I feel that Future Motion will not be the only manufacturer forever, and we are planning for that. There's open source VESC controllers coming out,
right?
And those cannot be in the same class as a one wheel, because they will dominate. So I'm trying to bring more of a breakdown to the classes of racing, because every racing series everywhere for anything has a stock and modified class. Oral, that's great. They want to just be stock boards. Well, that's not good enough for the community, in my opinion.
That was OR. You're talking about the ORL.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to encompass all boards and be accepting of anything that the community wants to bring to the race. That doesn't mean that they will be classed together, but it just needs to be part of the association, in my opinion.
Well, if you're looking at golf as the analogy, there is absolutely no way that any golfer would show up if the rule was you have to use only one brand of clubs. There's no way. I mean, it wouldn't happen.
Agreed.
Right? So, Vito, I mean, I know we got to get, so we're towards the end here. I'd like to know what you would like to leave the people feeling and understanding walking away from this. A lot of people are looking at this video because they've heard about it. They don't really know. Now, what do you want people to walk away knowing after witnessing this video?
I want everyone to really know that, this this wasn't just an idea that we put together over a weekend and a couple of beers. You know, we've been working on this. Troy brought this idea to me. You know, it's going to be 3 years in the making. And there's been a lot of relationship building that's gone on in the background that, you know, we've all had to do, you know, with the vendors and the athletes, and making sure that they were supportive of us, even when we didn't really know, we didn't have everything planned out. And we really didn't, we knew it was going to be a big project, but we didn't understand just how large it really was and what was going to go into this. And even every day, we continue developing further and finding things out that we need to develop. So, for example, Corey now is working on building out this ranking system, which is going to be huge. And I know the community is asking about it. You know, how are athletes going to be ranked? And I want everyone to know that we're listening to all of you in the groups, in the chats, through friends, at events, and we're listening. We're trying to develop the association to help this sport continue to grow in a way that the community wants, without having it being dictated by a manufacturer or just one set of people. And it takes a community. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of hundreds, if not thousands, of hours that the 5 of us have volunteered. And we do it because we believe in this project. We believe that One Wheel is going to be a sport that will be on TV consistently. And like Rachel said, this is exciting for us, and we want everyone to be a part of it.
I'm getting excited myself. Isn't that what you want? Somebody to listen to you as you give them ideas throughout the community. Man, thank you all so much for joining us. This is Vito Campuzano, Troy Hendrick, Rachel Cecil, Bob Nicholson, and Kari J. with Iowa. It's the Iowa.org. Guys, you've been the best. I hope that if you've been watching this video, you walk away knowing a little bit more now. And this should just pique your interest. So go to the website, support them, get on board with who is really governing the next steps in the One Wheel community. They're doing the hard work for you so that you don't have to. If you see them online or anywhere on these group rides, I want you to make sure that you high-five all 5 of them. Again, that's Vito Campuzano, Troy Hendrick, Rachel Cecil, Bob Nicholson, and Kari J. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today.
And hey, listen, I want to just shout out to all the vendors that have gotten behind this project from the beginning.
Yeah.
Their support is making this possible. If these companies have been scrapping for years to make our One Wheels better, there are so many amazing products out there that enhance your ride, change it in different ways, and just add to the creativity of riding a One Wheel. And by joining Iowa, these sponsors, these product makers, vendors are giving those people that join Iowa a discount. So it ends up being something, a value-added prospect to join Iowa. By the end of the year, you've bought a few products, you have paid for your membership. And your membership fee, again, it's a nonprofit, so it goes entirely to the furtherance of our mission statement, which is on our website. So I just want to shout out those vendors that have been behind this project from the beginning.
Thank you for doing that.
Go buy stuff.
Go buy stuff. Fantastic. All right, you guys, thank you for joining us. Support Iowa. It's theiowa.org. Rachel Cecil, thank you for joining us. Bob Nicholson, Kari J, Troy Hendrick, and Vito Campuzano, your Sherpas into getting this stuff onto TV. It's coming. Get excited. Thanks, guys.